The Biden regime has successfully hijacked the Department of Justice and is using it to target President Donald Trump. But it doesn't seem to be changing how Americans feel about their beloved former president. Rasmussen reports is out with a new poll, and it highlights just that. Rasmussen asked likely voters, which candidate for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination would you vote for? 36% said President Donald Trump. 9% only said Ron DeSantis, 5% Mike Pence, 5% Vivek Ramaswamy, 3% Tim Scott, 4% Nikki Haley, 10% Chris Christie, 4% Asa Hutchinson, 9% some other candidate, and 15% said they're not sure. So joining us to discuss this is the head pollster for Rasmussen Reports. Please welcome in Mark Mitchell. I think we need to explain to our viewers why you have Chris Christie over Ron DeSantis in this poll. I didn't even know that. You know, Democrats find him a little bit likable, but these are Republicans and Democrats, so you were asking about Republican candidates, correct?
Exactly. And the Republican numbers are more important, but these give you a really good idea of how the Republican candidates are doing on a national stage. And the fact that Chris Christie's leading Ron DeSantis, to me, what that says is that Chris Christie has been more effective at a unique selling proposition. He gives something that some of the electorate wants, and that, I guess, is open Trump bashing on the mainstream media. And so that's apparently been a little bit more effective than whatever Ron DeSantis has been doing. But the big standout there, of course, is Trump standing head and shoulders at a national level above everybody, Republicans, Democrats, and independents. 36 points, that's, I think, down 1 point from the last time we asked it, so basically unchanged. But who is down is Ron DeSantis. He's down from 13% to 9% now. And really the only thing that's happened since the last time we asked this multi-way matchup is that Ron DeSantis declared his candidacy for president. So that's a really bad sign. Among Republicans, Trump is still doing great, though. He's at 57% of the Republican vote, which is down from 62%. But Ron DeSantis right now is only getting 13% of the Republican vote. That's down from 17%. So they're both down about the same amount. And of course, that's because new entrants have come into the race and have peeled some support away. But what's interesting is that they're affecting Trump and DeSantis both equally. And so Trump still has a 44-point lead over Ron DeSantis, which is almost unchanged from the last time we ran it. DeSantis is moving in the wrong direction. And of course, among Republicans, Chris Christie doesn't have a chance. Besides Ron DeSantis at 13%, every other candidate is polling at 5% or lower.
Where did the support go, the points peeled off from Trump and DeSantis? I know in the exit polls for some of the events like the Leadership Summit in Iowa and then TPAC, as they call it, the Turning Point Convention in Florida, it seemed like Vivek Ramaswamy did really well, more so even than probably Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, Mike Pence and Nikki Haley both dropped a point. Vivek gained a point, and we added Chris Christie, Asa Hutchinson, and Tim Scott this time out. And so it's their inaugural debut in our question. They got a few percent of support that probably won't hold up. And there's just a lot of people, and people like choices. But at the end of the day, will those people get that amount of votes at a state primary level? Probably not.
Let me ask you now. Maybe you hit this and I just missed it. With independents, how did each of them do with the independents? Donald Trump versus Ron DeSantis, particularly, because that's what everyone keeps talking about.
Yeah, they say that maybe Ron DeSantis will have crossover appeal, but my numbers are absolutely not showing it. Ron DeSantis' best group is Republicans at only 13%. He's doing 8% among independents. Trump's at 36%. So Trump is doing more than 4 times better than DeSantis among independents. And so 36, that's not a bad showing for independents. Some of them do like Chris Christie, 11%. What's fascinating, and everybody else is spread out, single digits. But what is fascinating to me is that Chris Christie's best demographic, the one that he leads by the most, is Joe Biden's strong approvers. Pretty interesting strategy for
it's definitely
Republican
Trump bashing.
presidential. Yeah.
Right. Well, he knows he doesn't stand a chance. This is just to go out and get Trump and get curry favor with, I think, the corporate media for any kind of future plans he might have. I do want to get to another poll talking about Trump bashing, people who very, very much dislike the former president. You asked Americans what their impressions of Mitch McConnell was, and then also Kevin McCarthy. Based on your polling, Americans find Mitch McConnell to be very unlikable. Only 6% said they find him to be very favorable. Somewhat favorable was 20%, 29% somewhat unfavorable, and 35% very unfavorable. 10% weren't sure. For Speaker McCarthy, he did a little better. 15% found him very favorable, 27% somewhat favorable, 15% somewhat unfavorable, and 26% very unfavorable. 17% said not sure. Kevin McCarthy just announced yesterday he's beginning impeachment proceedings against President Joe Biden. Do you think that helps or hurts him? Because we know that matters very much to Speaker McCarthy.
It will probably help. We'll have to see what those impeachment proceedings contain, but he is the clear winner here. He has a 42% favorability rating. Everybody else is under 30. McConnell is under 40. McConnell's under 30. So Mitch McConnell, again, is the lowest polling national politician that we have at only 26%. Even Chuck Schumer does 38%. But the Republican numbers are important, and Mitch McConnell is only 37% among Republicans. But Kevin McCarthy is doing pretty good, 66% favorability rating among Republicans. That's only 4 points less than Ron DeSantis right now, even though Ron DeSantis does have a 12% higher, very favorable rating. And of course, Trump's in the low 70s, and his very favorable rating among Republicans is almost twice what Kevin McCarthy is. But it seems like talking conservative has been somewhat effective for him. This impeachment thing, though, Republicans won it. Even back in May, before all this whistleblower stuff came out, we had 75% of Republicans saying that it was at least somewhat likely that since becoming president, Joe Biden has committed high crimes and misdemeanors. And even 70% of Republicans back then said, should Congress begin with impeachment proceedings against Joe Biden? Yes, do it. So the numbers are probably higher now. I mean, I think Republican voters want to see action out of D.C.
They do. It's interesting. I'm a little surprised that McCarthy's numbers are that high, because I hear a lot of moaning and groaning, and I myself, do it. We just had the last segment where we talked about the fact that you had 83 Republicans who voted against reinstating pilots who refused to take the jab. So maybe we're so caught in the details, but the American public doesn't really know what we know. So we'll see. I do think this will help McCarthy's favorability, and like I said, he really cares about that.
Yeah, I think he gets good sound bites out there, and there are some MAGA Republican, people who've supported him, most notably Trump, right? So I think that's helped his numbers as well.
Yeah, I think so too. But like you said, most people do want to see at least the process of trying to get accountability, even if they know it's not really going to go anywhere. Thanks so much, Mark Mitchell. Always helpful. And again, you can go to YouTube and you can find more in-depth analysis of even some of the polls we can't get to here, which are very interesting and we'd love to, but time just doesn't permit. You can find Mark on YouTube. I always get the notifications on my phone that says he's got a new one up. So good to see you, Mark.
All right. Thanks for having me on.